Hey guys, Matt here with a new tutorial series. What we're going to be doing in this series is 12 games in 12 months. Now what that means is that each month we're going to be doing a different tutorial series on a different game, starting in January for the new year. So the first game that we're going to be doing is Snake. Now when I say Snake I mean this game. This is the one that I was working on a bit earlier just to get everything running, working, stuff like that. So you've got your game over screen, you've got key movement, difficulty because I've sped it all up, but that's basically what we're going to be working towards, and we can add excuse me, we can add a bunch of extras to it, we can add file IO, all sorts of stuff. So that's what we're going to do for the first tutorial, or first tutorial series. So to start with, what I've done is I've created a new project called Snake Tutorial, and just added a couple of package names and got down to Snake Main, which is the main class. So once you've just added this new class, it should be a blank class exactly like this one, except probably with a slightly different package declaration. So first thing we're going to do is create the constructor. So public Snake Main, and just leave it as that. Next we're going to create excuse me, a method called start, so public void start, and just leave that empty. And now we're going to create the main method, so public static void main string string array args. So now we're going to create an instance of the class, so snake main sn equals new snake main. What that's going to do is it's going to run our constructor, which is this here. So it's going to run all the code inside that method, and then subsequently any methods called from that. And then once that's done, it won't execute anything else. So what we need to do is say sn.start. And what that's going to do is it's going to run this start method, which is where we're going to create the game and then start painting it to the screen, start counting the score and all of that fun stuff. Okay, so now we're just going to create a couple of variables. So private jframe frame, private final int g width equals 480, g height equals 480, private final string name equals what's the name, snake tutorial, and then finally private final dimension game dim equals new dimension g width g height. Okay, so let's just look at what we've just done there. If I organise the imports, create a new instance of a JFrame, which is called frame. That's actually going to be what appears on screen, and we're going to actually fill it with a JPanel, which we'll sort out in a moment. Then we've got the G width and the G height, which is going to be the game width and height, which we can set to whatever we want. Then we have final string name, which is going to be the name for our JFrame, so the title. And then we've got the final dimension, game dim, which is going to be a dimension object with the game width and game height in it. That's essentially a Java object which you can pass to any components that set the preferred maximum and minimum size in an easy dimension, which is why we've created that. Okay, so I said we need to make a JPanel, which we do. So we're going to make this class extends JPanel. Okay, so if we import JPanel, it's going to ask us to create a default serial version ID. So we'll create that, delete the comment, and move that up. That's just a Java thing. You need to have one whenever a class is serializable. I won't explain what that means, but it's basically extending a default class. Okay, so now what we need to do is actually start setting our JPanel stuff. So this.set preferred size, game dim, this.set minimum size, game dim. Okay, what that's basically done is it just sets the minimum size that we want the game to be to our game dimension, and we want to set the preferred size. So what, in an ideal world, how big would the game be? And that's going to be game dimension again, which is basically going to say that our 480 by 480 map, which is going to divide down into 20 pixel tiles, which is then going to be spread out nice and evenly. It's going to be a perfect stretch. There's no going to be stretch artifacts or anything like that. It's going to be a nice crisp frame. So that's why we're setting preferred size and minimum size. Okay, so now we need to actually create the frame. So we're going to say frame equals new JFrame, and then pass in the parameter of name. Now that shouldn't need an import. So what that's done is it's created, or it's set our frame object, which we created further up, to a new JFrame, and then we've set the title of it to the parameter of name. Now that we've actually created the frame, we can start setting variables with it. So frame dot set content pane. And what that is it's going to be the main thing inside the JFrame. So what is everything else going to be focused around? And that's going to be this. So just write this. Because this class extends JPanel, we're going to be basically saying that the frame is going to show this class in it as the main object. What we then need to do is pack it. So frame.pack. What that does is it will compress all of the components we've added to the frame so far into one flat layer, and then it will scale it down to the smallest size, and that is going to be denoted by the maximum minimum size of any of the components we've added. Okay, so now we need to say, or actually make it visible. So frame.set visible true. We're going to need to set a default close operation, because if we don't do this, we can have a couple of threads going each time, and then it will keep building up and building up and building up, and then eventually Java will just crash on your system. So frame.set default close operation. Now you've got two things you can put in here. You can either say jframe.exonClose, which is a static variable, or you can just put 3, which is what the static variable actually is. In this case, we're just going to put 3 because it's slightly easier. Okay. Now all we need to say is frame.set focusable true. So what we want to do is we want to be able to capture the keyboard, so that when someone clicks on the frame, it will capture the keyboard, so the keyboard presses won't affect anything else outside of the game, which is quite an important thing to do. And we're just going to say frame.set resizable, and we're just going to say true to that. Okay. If you can spell it right, it works. So now, basically what we've done there is we've created our frame, we've created our JFrame, we've created our panel, we've created our JFrame with a couple of parameters. So now if we run it, save the class, we get a nice snake tutorial as a title, and then we have a JFrame there. Now the final thing we're going to do is we're just going to say set default location. So we want the frame to appear in the middle of our screen. So we're going to say frame.set location relative to, and in this we're just going to put null. So basically we're going to set it relative to nothing. Now what that means is it's not going to set it to the top left corner, bottom left corner, bottom right corner, top right corner, or any other component that we may or may not have within the current system. We're just going to render it in the middle of the screen. Okay. Now that is actually all we're going to do for this particular episode of this tutorial. So in the next tutorial we're actually going to start drawing stuff to the panel, and we'll go over double buffering, which should be a nice interesting tutorial for you guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys then. Bye.